What you have to start with is what's the foundation of this city? We got great trails, we got great schools, and everything. You got the University of Arkansas. You suddenly realize after you've been here a while, it's not what you're marketing here, it's what you believe. And what's great about this city is that we believe in one another, and it's community, building community, and it's everybody helping everybody else. And I believe in an open door. And when we talk about an open door, I mean that everybody should be accepted, no matter what the color of their skin or their religious belief, what country they come from or who they love. People have to realize that homeless people are citizens too, and they should be helped in the community like everybody else. If we truly believe that everybody's accepted, then we have to help homeless folks like we help everybody else.
Well, the McKinney-Vento statute, federal government law, defines homelessness as someone that lacks fixed, regular, adequate housing, shelter. So obviously, in layman's term, it just means somebody doesn't have a roof over their head. I've talked to some guys about, hey, what does the word home mean to you? What's home? And they'll describe their campsite with the people that matter to them and the place where their stuff is stored. And so, they've got a home, but they don't have a house.
In past, if you ever thought of a homeless individual, you think of the old man sleeping in a box on the side of the road.
Thank God they got a house. I mean, look at here. It's a roomy 2-bedroom. You know what I mean? It's got a bedroom over there, bedroom over here.
Probably warm,
pretty nice.
though.
Oh yeah, it's warm and dry. I really am proud of my home.
When I moved here, you had the same type of individuals. They were in their 50s and 60s. Now, it's not uncommon to see juveniles and teenagers in their 20s living in the woods.
I believe there's a growth due to the fact that the information has gotten out to many individuals about the compassion that Fayetteville offers. And when people hear about this passion, they want to come and experience it. And with that, when you have our churches also providing support to those that are without homes, I think that word gets around and people would like to come here, and even if they come from within or outside the state, they find that the support is here.
One time, any wooded area, a lot of the wooded areas, there was usually someone in the woods camping there, but since Fayetteville has cleaned out, they've cleared out all the underbrush, the majority live on 19th Street now, 19th and School. That is where we have a homeless camp in the wooded area out there, and it's also near Seven Hills Day Center. And of course, this is all university property.
Possibly drive a silver Honda Accord, Arkansas.
And this is the part that's kind of concerning when you see children's toys out here. You know, we've had kids out here before, but this just makes me wonder if we got some more kids out here that we have to speak with. What's going on, guys?
Not much, bud. You all right?
Yeah, you?
Pretty good.
What are you guys doing? Moving?
I was trying to get over here to clean up all that mess and throw half of that shit out.
These guys are videoing here, doing a documentary.
How you doing?
So,
How you doing?
How are you guys?
weren't you living over here? You were trying to, weren't you?
Yeah, she got a bigger tent. That one was too small.
So where are you moving at now? Oh, you're over there? Is that your nice bed over there?
Yeah, I just got that. You know anybody wants it? He wants it, but he usually falls asleep and passes out.
I'll sell it for
$5, huh? That's a deal. This is Kim Blanchette.
I'm Shane.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
We've known Kim for a while. She's
Yeah.
helped us with some investigations out here. And I guess, how long you been out here?
I've been out here off and on for 7 years.
7. Okay. As you can see, this is her home. But
I-
she says she's sleeping in the car now because she don't feel safe with everyone walking around.
It's always at nighttime it starts to get the weirdest around here. During the day it's pretty quiet.
You ain't got no barbed wire we're gonna trip on today, do you?
No, I don't have it set up today.
Good. Okay. 'Cause I don't want to get hurt.
I don't got it set up today.
No booby trapping. We'll see
Not today. I set up barbed wire along the walkways because at nighttime it gets scary. You never know who's gonna like creep up on you in your tent. Being a girl out here on your own, it gets
not
pretty
right.
scary sometimes. So they have to trip over the barbed wire before they get to the tent.
I like to come out and talk to them, get to know them. Sometimes they want to talk, sometimes they don't. But yeah, you want to come out and let them know that you're not out here doing force on them, and you know, we do want to help them. As you can see, a lot of them there's a reason some of them are scared at night, and we've come across that several times. Individuals who are on methamphetamine, they just walk around the woods at night and stealing things. And even amongst the homeless, they're scared. From the elderly all the way down to children. I mean, you have narcotic users, mental illness, alcohol abuse. So, I mean, you pretty much get a wide variety of people. It was a couple. Erica's actually Eric. He's transgender. He's going through the process at this time. And they moved out here. They had some family issues. Family wouldn't accept them, so they moved out here. Anybody home? Erica. They're not home.
At the very beginning, we were homeless behind Lowe's on Martin Luther King, MLK. So, 6th Street, some people. But from there, we were actually a pretty good, decent setup. We had a 14 by 14 tent. I'm trying to make it as homey as possible for
She built
my
us a
wife.
teepee.
I built the teepee, yeah. We always had some type of hole dug to go to the bathroom because we couldn't really do it. Sometimes we went to the store, they were shut, they didn't want us in there because what we were doing was using the bathroom. Other times it was because they were closed. But Lowe's then, at that point in time, was letting us get water. so that was helpful. Can't really get water here where we're at now, on 19th Street. It's a little harder to get water now, so especially with the park being closed and Seven Hills outside water faucet being closed because it was broken. It was always leaking, so they put a lock on that so no one could use it anymore. We've both been having a really hard time trying to stay warm, especially with it being below zero. That's why I put up the other tarps around that to make it to where it's more insulated, to where the wind doesn't go in. Gap, like really big gaps, like maybe 6 inches, so the windows are showing and the wind's blowing in. So I had no choice, I had to do that because it was really cold inside. It's easier to get sick out here than it is in an apartment. Because what do you got to do in an apartment? Turn up the thermostat or lower it or whatever. Here, we just have to deal. This is our storage that we have everything inside that we can't fit in there. There's a lot of stuff in there right now. It's extremely messy, but it's a good thing that I guess my wife has a hoarding problem with clothing and stuff. I guess it keeps us warmer. It's a shower tent. Some stuff has been coming out of the tent, so it's not a big deal. There's an ice chest in there. It's a shower tent for when it's ever warmer in there and all that. Some more bottles that came out. I usually try to put some of them, the newer ones, right there. And umbrella we can grab and go whenever we need to. Firewood whenever we bring out our little grill. Sometimes to cook a hamburger, sometimes not. Beds over here in this area.
Oh, wow, you got it pretty big in here.
Our medications for my transition and also to help her lose weight. Got milk in here, still frozen solid, I think. Yep, the ice is starting to thaw out. Apples are frozen, cheese, survival knife to help out with everything. The propane stove's over here. Hemis, bigger cages over there. We put Brutus underneath these at night. This one and this one. That's close to her wheelchair. Sometimes we like to jam. Big old speaker. But our food's all good and everything, so that's it.
Seven Hills also has these programs that will help the homeless get into a place. It's kind of like HUD housing, only they go through Seven Hills. They have clothing room, which is open from certain times. They have the pantry, which they give you food. It varies on whether you're housed or you're camping. They also have supplemental bags and then camper's bags. And then there's housed food.
What's the difference between a supplemental bag and a camper's bag?
A supplemental bag it's only enough to sustain you until you get your actual bag. They don't put very much in it. It's actually mostly junk food because
donuts.
That's what people donate. Donuts, cakes, candy, stuff like that. It's kind of bad, but they do have the healthy stuff, milk, eggs. They have a lot of bread that actually goes bad really fast. They have vitamins, Dayquil and stuff in the medicine cabinet in the front desk office. And then they have, we have snack every day at 2. And then lunch on Friday at 11:30, which is actually really good for us because if we can manage it and be able to get up early enough, we can actually eat lunch that day.
Well, we serve about 100 to 110 people at the day center every day. And it's about 500 people every month, unique visitors. And well, I'm in and out all day long. So yeah, I probably see a good half of those 100 people every day at the day center.
Watch this. Right there's out there.
Maybe they did think Fayetteville's the place I'm going to get a better job. I read it in the newspaper. They've got tons of jobs and there's a future there. That's for me. They get here, the job works out or it falls through, or maybe they get the job but the cost of living is higher than they thought it was going to be. And so they end up living in a car, or they end up temporarily homeless. That person probably just needs a little bit of support. We've had people come and take a shower at Seven Hills, get on the computer, use the job board to find employment, use the food pantry, the basic stuff. And in a couple weeks, they come back and tell us, hey, I got something that worked out. I saved up, I've got my place, putting the deposit down, I'm moving into a house. Like, they just needed that much. In Northwest Arkansas, we have a shared by name list of people that are chronically homeless. So this is maybe a year or more, or multiple episodes of homelessness in the last few years. We have a list and it has more than 200 names on it. And so when we have openings in a housing program, like Seven Hills has one housing program, the City of Fayetteville has a housing program, Havenwood is a housing program in Bentonville. When there's an opening, we look at that list and we try to prioritize who's the most vulnerable, who's the most in need, that would match the opening we have in that program. And clearly we don't have 200 openings, and we've got at least 200 names. The Seven Hills apartment complex has 27. 8 of those are permanent homes for people that have disabilities and have been chronically homeless. The other 19 are transitional, so you can only stay there for 12 months or maybe 24 months. Biggest challenges for getting someone housed. One of the challenges is finding landlords that will work with individuals that have a checkered past. So it might be they have a criminal background issue. It might be they have a credit problem in their background. Someone that's homeless is going to have a mixed bag. Their story is a mixed bag. And so finding some second chance landlords that will give someone that second opportunity. We did some surveys on that question. What's the hardest thing in your day-to-day life? Hygiene, getting access to ways to get clean and take care of yourself, and clothing, getting clean clothes, new clothes. It's tough living out in the woods or under a bridge, and so taking showers and getting clothes is what most people who are homeless say is kind of the biggest struggle getting through the day. The way we organize life together has got to change so that we don't have people living in third world conditions in the world's wealthiest country. So that anger is one of the things that does bring me to this kind of work. Of the people that participate in a rapid rehousing program like our Veteran Services Program, generally the success rate is like 80%, 90%, really high success rate. It begins with identifying people for whom that's the appropriate support. So if you move the wrong people into a short-term housing program, you're not going to see success numbers. You're going to see a bunch of people move in and then fail because they needed longer-term support. They needed mental health support. They needed addiction and recovery support, and maybe that takes a lot longer than 6 or 9 months. But if you are identifying and matching the right kind of person to a rapid rehousing program, then yeah, you see 80, 90% success rate of those people have leases in their names. They've got their jobs stable. They've got their money management skills improved. Like their future is changed. Their future is positive.
I spent about 3 years or plus outside in the tent.
Wow. And so moving into Seven Hills, I know it was a major transition. What were the challenges that you'd say you had as you were trying to transition into
just the familiarity of being outside. You spend that much time outside and there's all the sounds and smells that you have of living in the woods, and when they're kind of gone instantly, it seems like it's a little bit of little claustrophobia and almost a little paranoia because you're just not used to the environment. The first 2 months were very scary. The quiet was very unnerving. I spent 3.5 years with nature around me and a thin layer of, polyester between me and the world and anything that wanted to, invade. in your daily life is, in Fayetteville, it's hard because, I mean, it's easy to get your food. You won't starve in Fayetteville. There's clothing, there's food, but there's the stigma of walking around South Fayetteville with a backpack and everybody looking at you like you're scum. You're, you know, what are you? What kind of piece of shit are you? Because you're living in a tent or you're homeless. You know, I was a father, I was a teacher, I was a Marine, and I'm a good person. Don't look at me like that. You don't know my story. You know, to this day, I'm not on my feet. You know, yes, I'm clean. Yes, I have, you know, some income. I have a roof over my head, but I'm not functioning. I'm not fully functioning the way I can be. And a lot of that is my mental health is not up to par to the point where I can feel comfortable enough with taking that step and putting all this behind me.
Yeah, this is the new girl.
New girl?
Yep, it's the girl.
Hi, sweetie.
The girl passes out forever, and then a new one takes the role for a little bit. Never takes the place, just always takes the role.
Honestly, the last 3 days we have not been getting very much sleep.
How can you exactly when you get an apartment being homeless for almost a whole, no, it was a whole year.
Over a year and a half.
We left around in April, no, March. So it was before April. Yeah, a whole entire year this time around. We've never actually been homeless this long at one time, usually off and on. Well, anyways, after a whole entire year of being homeless and finally getting an apartment, I guess you could say it's really exciting. I just hate moving.
Tell me where we're at.
The apartment, the new apartment, one we just got yesterday. Chestnut too, $400 even for 540 square feet.
I think that hope is that magical ingredient in someone that keeps them engaged, that keeps them able to put up with the tough stuff. And being homeless is really tough. Being able to put up with the disrespect that they feel they experience sometimes on a day-to-day basis. Put up with the hard work it takes to change something. If you're living in the woods and you're going to try to move into a house, there's 100 steps in between point A and point B. If you're trying to change something as important as a substance use addiction that you have, and you know that's the thing in the way of me having a better future, you can't just wake up tomorrow and have the willpower to get over that. Like, you have to have something deep within you that says, like, I believe this can happen. Like, I see some positive light at the end of the tunnel. So that's, I think hope is that like magical ingredient, and you can help cultivate it in someone. Like, remind them of the good things, remind them of things they can take credit for. You know, remember what things were like 3 months ago, and look what you did. Like, take credit for that, and the next 3 months can look different if you do A, B, and C. So kind of help nudging people forward. That's what I think hope is. And like we were saying, that everyone that works at Seven Hills, I hope that we view ourselves as ambassadors of hope, to be able to keep that alive in people's life and let them know that tomorrow could be better.
I love you, crazy. I really do.
Fayetteville is a pretty chill city. I've lived here for almost 4 years, and I'm originally from the Little Rock area. I'm a journalist. That's what I got my undergrad in. But I'm sticking around to get my master's, and I wanted to learn about how documentaries are made. So, I enrolled in documentary production. I was tasked with creating a film with Paulina, who I met in class.
I always wanted to be a filmmaker, so I traveled from Poland to the United States to fulfill my dream. My journey to filmmaking took me to the University of Arkansas. In the documentary production class, I work with Andrew.
In our documentary class, we were assigned a specific topic: homelessness in Northwest Arkansas.
We believe that story of one person can touch more lives than 1,000 statistics could ever show, and we wanted to find a story that powerful.
So, we started looking for our perfect character. We did a few unsuccessful interviews, but it wasn't really coming together until one day. In just a few seconds, we knew he was our character. We weren't sure why, but we both knew. We hadn't met someone like him before, and we wanted to know how he got here.
My name is Clinton Albright, and I am homeless.
Fayetteville was a #3 city in the United States to live, so I was like, that's where I'm going, and just so happened my friend was living here at the time. So I knew when I got off the bus there I'd be homeless, I wouldn't have anywhere to go, so I was just like, you know, I'll take a chance on it. I'm not the same person I was in October when I got here, you know. I don't look at things the same way, you know. It gave me a different perspective on life and just how I look at people, you know, whether they're a homeless drunk bum or a dope fiend, you know. There's still some good you can find in those people, you know. As to see that they, you know, they're dope heads who took me in and brought me to my tent. They bang dope, barely have any teeth, you know, but they're good people at the heart. Especially for letting people, you know, stay out there, man. Yeah.
Clinton wanted to show us the homeless camp where he was staying.
I mean, I'm from Colorado, but I always had some heat, man.
We were shocked that a homeless camp could be set up in the middle of a college town like Fayetteville.
I stay real close in the area. I gotta be by all food. I'm a hungry guy. I am, dude. I'm growing. Yeah, you see, we gotta go through some hard stuff to get back here. But from now on, you know, we're good now. We just walk through the trail. As you'll see going through, we have different people set up here as well. The landlord lives back there. We got a landlord. Sick, right? Yeah. People, you know, but they're not supposed to be back here. It's like trespassing, but you know, not too many people are worried about it. There's like a front way to come in and a back way. That's the front way, the tunnel. And the back way we have to like cut over a lake and shit. I'm not a fan of it. So yeah, these trees we use for firewood all the time, especially when it's super cold out here. Now, you don't see this area? Dirt, completely. You see it coming up on it. People here, they're dumpster divers. So yeah, they like take everything out of a dumpster and keep it. Yeah, dumpster divers. It's weird. Here's my camp. I'll show you guys my tent. It was given to me, of course. I didn't have one. This is where I lay my head at night, you know, whenever it's not too cold to be out here. My door's broke, so my door doesn't work anymore, but we make do. We definitely make do. So yep, that's my living situation. I got my shoes over there. Had a little shoe rack set up, but didn't work too well. But yep, I got all my clothes in here and like my bag and my duffel bag. That's in here. Yeah, got all my clothes here. So it's kind of, you know, it's not the best, but it's better than sleeping outside or, you know, at a church or just some random location where you can get trespassed on. But whenever it's cold, I go to, if the Sally does have the cold weather shelter open, which is usually my first to go to when it's getting like 30 degrees, they open at 34 and below. So that's usually my first go-to. But if they're not open, which they don't do sometimes, I usually start a fire here and I kind of like tarp it off in order for the smoke to keep going into my tent for the warmth.
So like, is it, I mean, I know like everybody, because I know me, I'm from Little Rock. You know
Of course,
what I mean? Like,
big
so,
city.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, bigger than
Bigger
this.
than
you know?
this, yeah.
But it's like, everybody's got that thing where it's like, man, like eventually I'm going to come home, you know what I mean?
Of course.
Eventually I'm going to be here.
Of course.
Like, do you ever think about that type of stuff? And like, nowadays, it's just like, oh, it's kind of sad that like...
It's just sad that, you know, I knew everybody in Charlotte. I've grown up, I lived there on and off about 16 years, back and forth from there to Colorado and other places. So it is my home, you know, it's where I call home. You know, I wouldn't rather be any other place. But, you know, I know if I go back there, when I go back there, I will have an issue, you know.
I didn't think this young, educated guy could be homeless. That guy could have been me. He could have been anybody.
But we started to understand why he became homeless. Maybe he wasn't so perfect. Maybe he was a victim of his own actions.
I made bad decisions. You know, that put me here. So it humbled me. I've never worked in my life. You know, my dad gave me everything, my mom gave me everything. So, you know, this here is just like the craziest experience I've ever had to deal with in my life, you know. So being able to persevere through it, it just means so much to me because, you know, I never thought I'd be able to be here for one or be able to, you know, endure it. I smoke weed every day. That's just something I've done since I was like, every day of my life since I was 14. Every day of my life, literally, for like the past 10 years. Hanging with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong things. As far as I said, you know, I was selling pot for 2-3 years. You know, I was distributing pot. I wasn't selling pot. I was distributing it. You know, I sold about 15 pounds a month. Yeah, got involved with the wrong people. I just, you know, I just talked bad to people. You know, I was just really a bad person. You know, it gave me a different outlook on life when I was doing it. And, you know, the decisions of doing that led me to getting robbed and being, you know, tied up and beaten. And, you know, my mom was tired of hearing that. I was supposed to have stopped doing that long ago, you know. And she was done with it. She didn't want to put up with it anymore. So she was like, you know, you got to go. I burned a lot of bridges with my family, even though, you know, I've given them money, I've given them shirt off my back, but I've done a lot more deceitful things to them. So my brother was like, no, you can't come stay with me. And I was like, I have nowhere to go. Taking everything I had away from me like that. 5 minutes is all it took. And lost everything.
But Clinton could put the camp and his mistakes behind him. He was applying for housing, and it appeared he'd get a second chance. This story was pretty much writing itself. A homeless person made some mistakes, got back up again, and is trying to do better in his life.
And the fact that it was happening right in front of our eyes was incredible.
You know, something like that.
your responsibilities daily. Make sure you're taking a bath. Take a bath. Use your deodorant, that kind of thing.
I definitely will be taking a bath every day. I can't wait. I grew up watching my dad hit my mom, and then when I was like 22, me and my dad finally fought, and now we love each other so much.
That's good.
It was just, you know, I held a lot of anger towards him because he left my mom and left me, you know.
Oh, I don't even know what I would do if I found my real dad.
Oh, that's,
I
look,
couldn't even tell you.
my brother never met his father, and one day, he was like 15, my mom took him to meet him. It was awesome.
I mean, I talked to him on Facebook, but I've never met the dude in person.
Fill that one out as well. Okay.
Clinton Adamson.
I'm trying to coordinate something with my husband, so I apologize.
Oh no, ma'am, that's sweet. It's nothing like being married.
Well, I guess.
I currently reside at the Woods. I do. Yeah, I do. I do accept you to run me.
I mean, as long as they don't send me another message saying that they're down here.
Albright, applicant signature. 12/5/17.
I've got all your paperwork already, and therefore, you know, all I've got to do is say, congratulations, here's your key. Let's go. So,
It makes me want to cry.
I know, man. So much better than being outside.
So long.
Awesome. Awesome. So I'll see you in a week.
I hope so.
Oh, you will.
Thank you so much. Yeah, you see me every day, so.
Thank you, Miss Lisa.
You're welcome, guys.
I will definitely call my mother and let her know. She'll sing praises, you know. Me making my mother stress hurts me, so me being able to ease her mind, whether that's getting housing or giving her money to help her, that's just a blessing all in its own.
Hello?
Hey,
Hey,
what you doing?
nothing. What's going on?
Guess what?
What?
I got my apartment.
Yay!
Yeah, girl, that's what I said, ma.
Congratulations.
Thank you, baby.
Yeah, you got your keys. I'm excited for you. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, baby. Thank you. I'm super happy about it.
Good.
Yeah, it's snowing here now.
What?
It,
Got snow?
man, if you want to call it that. Yeah, girl.
You work tonight, right?
Yeah, 3 to 11.
Well, just call me on one of your breaks.
All right, I love you.
Love you too, son.
Bye. Yeah! Boo! Oh. Oh, it's cold as a bitch. Came in, took the P test, got my key, and celebration from there. It was a long, different experience, having to wait on that, and being, in the situation I was. It was definitely, a learning experience for me. But it's something I can't really describe as far as how it made me feel, to make it to a place where I've been wanting to go, to make it out of the situation that I didn't want to be in, and get into a place to where I can have some bit of comfortability where I'm at. And I got my dresser here. You like that? Nothing's in there. It's supposed to be for clothes. I'll fill it up later. I left my covers, pillow, anything that was in there beside my clothes. Didn't want it to come with me. I don't want anything reminding me of it because I have all the reminder that I have in my head, So I didn't want to bring anything from there here with me because it shows me where I came from, but I already know that, and I'm trying to progress to be able to get further away from that. I'm still trying to figure out, different ways for me to
move forward in my career, you know, as a business student. I want to pursue more school. I want to try and get an MBA, hopefully make me some money, hopefully. But for right now, just taking it day by day, just trying to, you know, set myself up, not move too quickly, think everything through, kind of be a little meticulously, try to be more meticulous with the things that I do instead of just, boom, just shooting right in them. This is Betsy, the blue Scooty. Got her for $100 from some old guy off Let Go. She gets me where I gotta go from A all the way to Z, back to double alpha. She goes about 40. Ladies, if you see me, give me a toot, give me a honk, toot toot.
I'm sorry, the person you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again later.
Clinton, pick up the phone. Come on. God, we got arrested.
You're not going to believe what I have right here.
What do you have?
I could tell you, but I'm just going to show you.
Okay.
Thanks.
We didn't understand what's happening on the legal side of things, so we got in touch with Clinton's public defender, Matt Bender.
I don't know what's going to happen to Clinton. Clinton has to deal with a supervised probation in the federal system. He will probably have a bond or a detention hearing pretty quickly from a federal magistrate. He may be released because his offense isn't super bad. I mean, possession of marijuana, I don't think that that's something a lot of people want to see someone go to prison for.
Possession of marijuana might not seem so bad, but Clinton's been caught with much more.
In fact, we discovered that in 2015 he was arrested in Marion County, Alabama. Officers found a half-pound of marijuana, cash, pills, guns, and drug paraphernalia.
After he was released, he thought he was past it. But he didn't complete everything required, so the county put a hold on him when he was released.
He's in a vulnerable situation. He's going to be a young black guy in the federal system in Alabama under a federal Department of Justice that is now instructed to try to seek the harshest penalty they can in every single case. I mean, Clinton's an individual, right? Like, yeah, he's different in a lot of ways, but his story is not unique at all. What's happened to him is not unique. I think that it's reflective of a lot of people's circumstances and a lot of people's encounters with the criminal justice system here.
Instead of the fresh start we thought Clinton would have, It turns out Clinton's past continued to follow him. This wasn't the feel-good story we thought we had at the beginning. At this point, we weren't sure if he would be transported to Alabama to serve more time. That day in court was the last time I saw him.
All right, well, it's Monday. I'm here at the Washington County Detention Center. We were here to visit Clinton. We wanted to bring a camera in. It didn't work out for rules and regulations. Actually, they said that he was a dangerous prisoner, and so that's the reason why we can't go in with the camera. But I did talk to him for 20 minutes, just a normal visit, and he didn't really give me too much more information than what I already knew from his mom, from his public defender, Matt Bender, but I did find out that he is not sure if he's going to Alabama or not. I like Clinton Albright. I like his personality. I like how he finds humor in all things. Will that all change in jail? I don't know. I really hope not. At the end of the day, I wish the best for him. I want him to find success. Crossing paths with him changed my perspective on not only homelessness, but some of the people living behind bars.
I think that life is like film. It has beginning, climax, and resolution. We try to write a perfect script for our life, but we cannot predict some of our inner and external conflicts that shape our story.
A progressive, get in front of it kind of city. And we tend not to be a lag behind, let's wait till somebody else figures it out kind of city. If you want to support and embrace compassionate Fayetteville, then you best support and embrace compassion when it comes to your brothers and sisters who have nothing and are living in third world conditions in South Fayetteville.
Well, usually they ask for a deposit and first and last month's rent. And the deposit is usually the same amount as the monthly rent. So if you have a $480 apartment, you have a $480 deposit and the $480 for last month. So all those $480s is about $1,300 to $1,400, and I make half of that.
What unfortunately we find is that in Northwest Arkansas, there's not enough resources for emergency shelter or transition shelter, if you will, to take people, to give them a place to get out of the woods and begin to work on the problems and then put them into permanent housing.
I was in the street without a tent, without a blanket, without a pillow for 11 days when I was first homeless. and nobody cared. Nobody lifted a finger. So I don't want anybody to feel like that. So I got more tents than I need for people who doesn't have a place to stay. I'm originally from southwest Arkansas in the Saratoga area. When I was 12, my mom died. We moved to Mineral Springs area. I went to high school, graduated in Mineral Springs.
It's really important that cities begin to look at their emergency shelter plan and ask the question, it's a hard question, but ask the question, are we doing everything that we possibly can do to accommodate the complexity and diversity of our homeless population? And if the answer is no, then I think the next step is, well, what do we need to do?
You know, I think it's important to realize that in issues of homelessness, they are complex, and it requires cities, it requires nonprofit organizations, it requires, in this case, the university, it requires churches, it requires businesses, it requires community leaders to work together. And so I think everyone has a place to contribute. I think everyone has a role to play.
They have some of the biggest barriers to access the services.
One thing is housing. There's a lot of things that they have to go through. I mean, we can give them the resources to where they can go to get housing, but there's a list, and the list is pretty long, and so it takes a long time. So while they're waiting, other things happen. But housing is really hard to obtain in Northwest Arkansas if you're homeless.
My name is Joy Honeycutt. I'm the Section 8 Housing Specialist for the Fayetteville Housing Authority. The Section 8 program has an 18 to 24 month wait before we can assist them. So if they're homeless, that's really difficult because what are they going to do for that meantime? So we have other programs like our public housing has a shorter wait of 3 to 9 months. But again, if they're a single person, our one bedrooms are limited and there's not a lot of turnover, so it could take a year to year and a half to even house them in a one bedroom.
In order to really start to resolve any issues that may be continuing to keep someone in a state of homelessness, we first need to provide a safe place to be, a place where they can be clean, a place where they can have a roof over their head and be protected from the elements.
In Fayetteville, with it being a college town the way it is, one bedrooms are hard to come by here, when school's in especially. And finding them within around the range of $450 to maybe up to $480 if they have to pay their own utilities, which most of the time they do, that's difficult.
So the goal then was to develop a program, and maybe it's not a housing first, I'd like to think it's shelter first, that takes someone out of this horrible third world living condition and puts them into a community environment where they have a private, secure, safe, clean, sanitary shelter that is their own.
the idea behind New Beginnings was really how do we provide another step or an easier step from someone out of a tent into something safe, secure, dry, stable, so that they can be connected back with services and honestly, begin hopefully to get back on their feet. Ultimately, the goal is that they would move out of those places, that they would become fully independent, contributing members of society, and do that in a way of dignity.
My name is Shauna Hammond. I work at the University of Arkansas Community Design Center, and I am a project architect and an instructor there. And I was the architect on this project. So there's 20 cabins that are connected by kind of boardwalks, and there's community gardens. We also created an area, a penned-in area, where it's more of a dog park so the dogs can run around. And then the porch itself, and that has a screened room on it. It has bathrooms and showers combined, one for each gender. And then there is 2 offices, and then the kitchen with a warming tent.
If we're really successful with New Beginnings, we'll eliminate the need for these kind of shelters. So informal housing is premised on the idea that they're much needed at this point, but if we mount the social services in connection with the sheltering services that we need, we can begin to permanently address the homeless crisis that we have.
Specific part of their bigger vision.
We've met with the fire chief. We've talked to countless organizations around the country that are doing the micro shelter projects. We feel like, due diligence on our part has been completed. We would be surprised if there was anything but a positive recommendation by the commission.
Incorporated for property located at 1954 South School Avenue. The property is zoned C1 neighborhood commercial and C2 thoroughfare commercial and contains approximately 4.79 acres. The request is for a transitional homeless shelter. And Mr. Thompson, I believe you have the staff report.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. This project has visited the Planning Commission twice before. We've heard comments, some discussion and comments on both occasions. And the applicant is back tonight. Given a little bit of time, he's I believe, revised this substantially to meet the concerns, hopefully, that a lot of planning commissioners expressed during the first meeting.
As you may know, there's a principle that operates in this country and has been very successful called housing first. And in order to be able to accomplish the things that we want to accomplish, we need to put a roof over these people's heads. And I think that's the first step. And as we've heard tonight, it's not the perfect solution to end homelessness by no stretch, but we do need to actually be able to do something like what we're proposing here, I think, to be able to make strides and to move this community forward in terms of how to address the homelessness.
My name is Aaron Marshall. I'm a Fayetteville resident and a small business owner in Springdale. We've all been heartbroken by the situation that's been described and the lack of response from a number of areas. No one's got the magic wand to make it all better. But there are still gaps. This gap needs to be fixed. I don't want my kids to live in a city that allows 100 people to live in the woods when we have the resources and the smart people and the organizations available to do something about that.
My name is Betty Rankin. I live on 19th Street. And most of those down there in the woods does not want the help. Most of them work, but they want to stay by themselves. They don't want it. Now some of them are different. They don't have a place to go. But those people, most of them, does not want to work or to have a home. They want the money to do what they want to do. And why should they get out and work if they don't have to? Or get a place to live if they don't want to? Make them work for it. That's all I've got to say.
Our fellow commissioners don't have any other comments. I would like to recommend that we approve CUP 217-5938 with all the conditions as stated, including the condition brought up by Ms. Belford.
If the scrutiny is from a neighborhood or a community that says, oh, we don't want any more of this in our backyard, then our response is, but there's really nothing to attend to what's going on right now. You need to let us have a chance to show you that this is the kind of program that can work.
If there are no other comments, we have a motion from Commissioner Johnson and a second from Commissioner Noble. Mr. Garner, will you please call roll?
Noble? Yes. Scroggie?
Yes.
Hoffman?
Yes.
Quinlan?
Yes.
Johnson?
Yes.
Niederman?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Motion passes.
The city of Fayetteville, especially within the Planning Commission, has already granted us a temporary permit by which we can take this project and move forward. So we've been working very closely with the city of Fayetteville. We've been working very closely with the university. And we feel like maybe for the first time in a very long time, all the places or all the pieces are in place to actually bring a solution in a way that we feel like would be most effective in helping the people that need to be helped.
While we continue to wait on decision about the property as the city and the University of Arkansas work to figure it out, on the really exciting side is that we have just the greatest group of architects that we could possibly be working with, and Shauna Hammond, who's been kind of running point for the Community Design Center, just delivered this morning a set of preliminary drawings and is finalizing the construction drawings.
We designed it so that it's temporary and mobile, but yet it serves complex user needs. We've componentized the parts. First of all, New Beginnings, it starts with 20 A-frame cabins, about 140 square feet, that could be put under a wooded area. And that's really important because homeless populations seek invisibility. So it's not about using homes to define a public space. We look at the kind of context that homeless populations need and require. So the homes fit under a nice wooded canopy, which means they need to be flexible. But at the street edge, we make what's called a community porch, which is a large platform, more or less an infrastructure that can house warming tents for kitchens, bathrooms and showers, meeting areas for consultants and social workers to visit the site and deliver social services, as well as a meeting area and other miscellaneous uses.
I've been to the planning meetings, I've heard the neighbors and their concerns, and some of them are very legitimate, and even being here today, you can see a lot of the trash and stuff that's on the property. But I think part of what people need to understand is that the New Beginnings, part of what they're doing is providing services, and some of the services that could get provided is job training, and some of that job training could be cleaning up and working with the city and other folks to learn how to, mitigate streams and these other areas. And so it potentially could turn into this beautiful thing where the whole property gets kind of cleaned up by the very people who live here.
I believe that the pathway to solving this problem is right in front of us. As this initiative moves forward, it won't be because of Serve Northwest Arkansas. It won't be because of one person. It will be because this community is doing what this community does best, and that's provide for each other, care for each other, collaborate with each other in the desire to really make this community everything that it is, and it is becoming and will become. And so it's going to take everybody to do it, and we're excited to see where this goes.
Here's what we're doing with New Beginnings. It's not just a project for Fayetteville. We're designing it so it could be a prototype for the nation, because the entire nation has not only a crisis with homelessness, but it hasn't come to grips with informal housing. And what we're trying to show with New Beginnings is that informal housing can not only serve really critical needs, but also can be an uplifting place. It can express community in a way that formal housing and formal homeless shelters have not. This could be a prototype that all communities can build, because right now, most of these transition communities happen in an ad hoc way. They happen in a guerrilla format, and what we're trying to show is that with design thinking, we can not only serve fundamental needs, but we can also elevate the quality of the community so that it gives back to the larger neighborhood that it's in. So it can be a community of choice, a community with pride, and a community that projects and expresses dignity.
Yeah, and helping others. So I think it's a great way.
Where we are right now is that those construction drawings should be completed. Kathy Hall, who is the agri-industrial arts teacher at Central Junior High in Springdale, will begin working on those plans with her students and a couple of other teachers who have other classes, and hopefully we'll start having a couple of build days, Saturdays, where the kids can come, parents can come, teachers, the principal's already gotten engaged. This is a win-win, right? This is a win for New Beginnings, but it's a win for the community that's willing to take on this kind of a project. And once we have that prototype finished, begin to use that prototype as a way to communicate the message of what we're trying to accomplish.